The evening had started so peacefully that I almost let myself believe everything was normal. The dining table was set as it always had been. My old brass bowls, the floral tablecloth I'd stitched 20 years ago, and the faint aroma of ghee lingering in the air. I had cooked early because Rhea liked dinner exactly at 7:30 p.m., not 7:25, not 7:35, exactly 7:30. She said it kept the house running smoothly. I never argued. I tried my best to fit into the new rhythm of their life, even though it was a house my late husband and I had bought long before Arjun ever married. The clock struck 7:29 when she walked in, her heels clicking sharply against the wooden floor. She looked beautiful. She always did. But beauty had nothing to do with the coldness she carried inside her like a shield. "Dinner's ready," I said softly. She didn't answer. She sat down, scrolled through her phone, and kept her sharp chin lifted as though she were examining a servant's work. Arjun followed 2 minutes later, smiling at me tiredly after a long day of work. He kissed my forehead like he used to as a child, and for a moment warmth bloomed in my chest. But that warmth didn't last. We were halfway through the meal, dal, paneer, fresh rotis, the usual, when Rhea abruptly put her spoon down. Not gently, she slammed it against the plate so hard that a piece of paneer bounced off and landed on the tablecloth. I froze mid-bite. Arjun glanced at her nervously. What happened? She looked directly at me. "Your mother needs to give up her room." My hand trembled slightly. "My room?" She nodded with an expression so cold it sent a shiver through me. "Yes, my parents are moving in next month. They've decided. They'll need a room big enough. The guest room isn't going to cut it. But why didn't you discuss this earlier?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "I'm telling you now," she snapped. I looked at Arjun, my silent plea obvious in my eyes. He looked down. Rhea leaned forward, her elbows on the table. "It's simple. Either you give up your room to my parents or you pack your things." The words struck me harder than any slap could have. For a moment I thought I misheard. "Pack, yes," she continued sharply. "Pack your things and leave. India is filled with old-age homes. You won't be the first elderly lady living alone." Arjun tensed. "Rhea." "No, Arjun. I'm saying what everyone's thinking but no one wants to say. She's old, she has the biggest room, and she doesn't need it. And frankly, she's not contributing to the house anymore." The betrayal in that single statement hit me like cold water. Not contributing. I had paid the down payment. I had managed the renovation. I had spent every festival, every joy, every tragedy in this home. And most of all, I had opened my heart and my life to my daughter-in-law. But to her I was nothing more than an inconvenience. I swallowed the lump rising in my throat. "Baited, I thought we were family. Why would you push me out of my own home?" Rhea smirked. "It's not your home. Arjun and I live here. Times have changed. We need the space. We're a modern couple. And my parents need comfort." I felt my chest tightening, not with anger but with a sorrow so deep it nearly suffocated me. I looked at my son again. "Arjun, do you agree with this?" His eyes trembled. "Mom, maybe it's better if you stay somewhere else for a while. Just until they're comfortable." His words tore something inside me, something that had survived every hardship of my life, but could not survive this. My own child choosing convenience over me. Rhea leaned back, arms crossed, victorious. "So, what will it be? Give us the room or get out." Her tone was triumphant, as if this were a competition she was winning, but I didn't reply. I simply nodded slowly, as though my bones had suddenly aged 10 years. "I understand," I said quietly. Rhea smirked again. "Good. I'm glad you finally see reason." I stood up, my legs wobbling slightly. The food on the table blurred as tears filled my eyes, but I blinked them away quickly. I wouldn't cry in front of her. Not tonight. Not over this. I walked to my room. My room, the one where I had cried when my husband died. The one where I had prayed for my son's success. The one I had decorated with my own hands. I shut the door gently behind me, and for the first time in my life, I felt completely, utterly unwanted in my own home. But even in that moment of heartbreak, something inside me hardened. Not anger, not revenge, just resolve. If this house didn't want me, then I would leave it with dignity, but I would not leave my life behind. Little did they know I had more strength left in me than they had ever imagined. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the edge of the bed my husband and I had shared, staring at the familiar patterns on the wallpaper. The moonlight filtered through the curtains, painting the room in soft silver. It should have soothed me. It usually did, but now everything felt foreign. My hands rested on the bed sheet, gently tracing the embroidery I had done by hand years ago. Each stitch carried a memory: nights when my husband sat beside me reading the newspaper, mornings when young Arjun jumped on the bed laughing, afternoons when I sat sewing while dreaming of future. I never once imagined a future where I wouldn't belong in my own home. At dawn, I folded the bed sheet quietly, as if performing a ritual for a life I was about to leave behind. The house was silent, except for the distant sound of birds waking up. Ria and Arjun still slept. They would not hear me. They would not stop me. Maybe they didn't want to. I opened the wardrobe and ran my fingers along the rows of saris. I had arranged them by color: pastels on the left, darker shades on the right. I carefully chose only a few. I wouldn't take what didn't feel necessary. I didn't want them to ever say, "She took too much when she left." I took what my heart could carry. My jewelry box, my diary, my husband's watch, the tiny clay idol of Krishna from my childhood, and a framed photo from Arjun's graduation day, the day he told me he would take care of me for the rest of my life. Promises I learned that morning could fade faster than memories. I filled a single suitcase. One suitcase for an entire life. As I zipped it shut, a cold ache settled in my chest, but there was also an unexpected sense of clarity. A voice inside me whispered, "You don't have to stay where you're not respected." I listened. At 7:00 a.m., I stepped out of my room with the suitcase in hand. The house smelled of ginger tea. Arjun must have woken up early. I paused outside the kitchen, hearing the faint clink of cups. For a brief second, I considered stepping inside, giving him one last chance to say something, anything. But I had already heard enough, so I walked straight past the kitchen and toward the front door. The door creaked softly as I opened it. A small sound, barely noticeable, but to me it felt like the closing of a chapter. And then, "Ma," I froze. Arjun emerged from the kitchen, tea in hand, eyes widening as he saw the suitcase. Where are you going?" His voice shook, not out of concern, but out of shock. He hadn't expected me to actually leave. I managed a small smile. "Where you wanted me to." His face paled. "Ma, that's not what It's exactly what you said." I replied gently, "and I heard you clearly." He opened his mouth again, but no words came. I didn't wait for any. Quietly, I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. The early morning breeze brushed my face, carrying away the last traces of warmth that house once gave me. For a moment I stood at the gate, holding the suitcase handle, unsure of where to go, and then I saw it. Across the street, standing stubbornly among newer homes, was an old beige house with a tilted roof and a rusted mailbox. A house I'd passed hundreds of times. A house with a dusty "for sale" sign that never came down. Something pulled me toward it: instinct, fate, or perhaps the quiet voice in my heart telling me to reclaim my dignity. The gate screeched as I pushed it open. Pebbles crunched under my feet as I walked up the pathway. I peered into the dusty windows, and though the rooms inside were empty and worn out, they felt strangely welcoming. Empty but waiting, lonely but patient. I took out my phone and dialed the number on the sign. The real estate agent sounded surprised to be receiving a call so early in the morning. "Yes, the house is available," she said. "Yes, we can meet today. Yes, payment in full is acceptable. When I mentioned I wanted to buy it immediately, she nearly choked on her words. By noon, the papers were signed. By 3:00 p.m., the keys were in my hand. By 4:00 p.m., I stood inside the house, my house breathing in the dusty smell of freedom. The wallpaper peeled in some corners. The kitchen tiles were cracked. The floors creaked with every step. But every flaw felt comforting, like the house itself was telling me, "You're not a burden here." I opened the windows and let sunlight flood in. Dust danced in the air like tiny golden stars. The breeze felt warm, gentle, like a welcome hug. I made a cup of tea using a borrowed kettle from the kind old lady next door. As I sat by the front window sipping tea, I looked across the street. My old house stood proudly, the home I had built, loved, and been forced to leave. A small pang of sorrow tightened my throat, but then another feeling replaced it. Relief. For the first time in years, the air felt breathable. The silence didn't feel heavy. The room didn't feel shared or borrowed. I didn't feel like an intruder. I felt like I belonged. That night I spread a thin mattress on the floor, curled up under a light shawl, and listened to the comforting creaks of my new home. I slept peacefully for the first time in weeks. No shouting, no commands, no demands, just me, my dreams, and the quiet assurance that I hadn't lost everything. I had begun again. Little did my family know they had pushed me out thinking I had nowhere to go. But I had walked straight into a new life. And soon enough they would see exactly how wrong they were. The first morning in my new home, I awoke to the gentle rays of sunlight filtering through the dusty curtains. It was a far cry from the polished perfection of my old room, but the warmth felt different, softer, kinder, like the world was welcoming me into a new beginning. I stretched out on my thin mattress, hearing the familiar groan of the floorboards beneath me. I smiled. Even the imperfections felt like companions rather than criticisms. No one here would complain that I woke up too early or too late, or that my footsteps were too loud. The walls didn't glare at me, the ceiling didn't judge. The house, for the first time in years, felt like mine. I spent the next few days cleaning every corner. I opened all the windows, letting in fresh air and birdsong. Dust swirled in the sunbeams like tiny dancers celebrating my arrival. The neighbors dropped by occasionally, curious faces with warm smiles, offering help and stories about the previous owner, an elderly man who had moved to be closer to his daughter. None of them asked what had brought me here alone. They simply welcomed me. Mrs. Sharma from next door brought a tray of idlis on the second morning, insisting I eat a proper breakfast. She even helped me scrub the kitchen sink, laughing that cleaning was more fun with company. For the first time since my husband passed, I felt a sense of community, gentle, effortless, genuine. But the most unexpected comfort came from the house itself. It was old, yes. It was worn, yes, but it was honest. And honesty was something I had been craving. ****, the office window ***. Within a week, I decided to convert the upstairs room into a small office, a cozy space for my diary writing and online cooking classes that I had abandoned after Ryu told me they were a waste of time. The room had a large window facing the street, a window that faced my old home ***. The first time I looked through it, I felt a sudden rush of emotions, grief, disbelief, anger, nostalgia, all tumbling together like a storm. From this vantage point, I could see everything, the gate, the veranda, the balcony, even my old bedroom window. I stood there for a long time, silent and still, watching the life I had once been part of. Around noon, the front door opened. Out stepped Ria. Her hair was tied up in a messy bun, her eyes puffy with exhaustion. She was yelling at someone behind her, and a moment later, her parents appeared, dragging 2 huge suitcases and bickering loudly. I leaned forward slightly, watching silently. My old home, the one she had thrown me out of, was now a beehive of chaos. Ria's mother stood complaining about the heat. Her father grumbled about the weight of the luggage. Ria herself looked like she was already regretting their decision to move in. I could almost hear her thoughts from across the street. Asterisk, this is not what I expected. Asterisk, Arjun came out a moment later, carrying another suitcase. He looked more tired than I had ever seen him. His shoulders drooped. His eyes lacked their usual spark. He wasn't smiling, not even pretending. Ria's father balked instructions. Her mother demanded water. Ria snapped at Arjun for moving too slowly. The house I had once filled with laughter and peace was now filled with noise and irritation. Hash 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 asterisk asterisk, a new routine asterisk asterisk over the next few weeks. I settled into a peaceful routine, morning tea in the garden. Cleaning and repairing small parts of the house, online meetings with my students, evening walks around the colony, late night journaling by my window. The house flourished with every little thing I did, a new plant here, a cleaned shelf there, a fresh curtain, a new lamp. I found myself humming while cooking and smiling at random thoughts. My heart felt lighter than it had in years. Sometimes, while watering the plants, I would glance across the street. The sight never failed to intrigue me. Laundry hung unevenly on the balcony railing. Ria's father often yelled at the delivery boy. Her mother complained about every little thing, from the curry being too spicy to the AC being too cold. The doorbell rang constantly, the household always in some new state of disarray. Arjun slowly looked like a man carrying the weight of the world. He left home early. He returned late. He barely smiled. One evening, as I watered my marigolds, I heard a faint argument from across the road. "Why can't your mother come back and help with chores?" "Because you told her to leave." "I didn't think she would actually go." "She didn't deserve this, Ria." "Oh, so now it's asterisk my asterisk fault." Their voices rose and fell like crashing waves. I didn't feel happiness listening to their fight. I didn't feel revenge. I felt clarity. They were reaping what they sowed. Hash 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 asterisk asterisk. The day they saw me asterisk asterisk, the moment came unexpectedly. I was sitting in my office one sunny afternoon, working on a recipe list. The curtains were pulled slightly back, allowing warm sunlight to touch the desk. I didn't realize that Ria and her parents were outside. I heard their voices before I saw them. Where did she go? She must be living with relatives. No, she couldn't afford a place of her own. Maybe she left the city entirely. Their arrogance would have made me laugh if it wasn't so pathetic. Curiosity eventually pulled them closer to the street. They walked along the pavement, scanning the neighborhood as though I was a misplaced item, and then Ria's mother stopped. She pointed directly at asterisk asterisk, my house asterisk asterisk. "Is that her?" "No, it can't be. She's at the window." I looked up and our eyes met. 3 shocked faces stared at me like they had seen a ghost. I could have looked away. I could have closed the curtain, but instead I smiled and lifted my hand. An asterisk asterisk waved asterisk asterisk. A soft, calm, utterly serene wave, the kind of wave that said, "I'm doing just fine without you." Ria's mother gasped dramatically. Her father staggered backward, and then, to my astonishment, asterisk asterisk, both of them fainted right there on the pavement. Asterisk asterisk, I pressed my hand to my mouth to stop a laugh. Ria stood frozen, her face turning red, white, and then red again, and in that moment I saw something flicker in her eyes, regret, not love, not concern, not kindness. Just regret because her plan hadn't gone the way she expected. She had wanted to teach me a lesson. Instead, I had taught her one. Never underestimate a woman who has been silent too long. I closed the curtain gently, letting them handle the mess they had created. Inside my home, peace wrapped around me like a warm shawl. I had lost a room, but I had gained a life, and soon they would learn the full meaning of consequences. The day Ria's parents fainted outside my new home became a turning point for everyone, not because of the drama itself, but because it finally forced the truth out of the shadows. The truth that no one wanted to say aloud, the truth my silence had been Quietly unveiling, after I closed my curtains that afternoon, the neighborhood buzzed. Everyone rushed to help the fainted duo, and within minutes they were carried back to my old house. Someone even rang my bell, politely informing me what happened, but I simply thanked them and shut the door. It wasn't my problem anymore. For the first time in months, I felt free, unburdened by guilt, unburdened by expectations, unburdened by the emotional traps that had kept me hostage in a house that no longer felt like home. Hash 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 asterisk asterisk chaos across the street asterisk asterisk that evening. As I brewed myself a cup of ginger tea, I looked out through a small gap in the curtains. Ria's house, no, asterisk, their asterisk house now, was in complete disarray. Ria's mother lay on the sofa with a cold compress on her forehead. Her father sat beside her fanning vigorously with a magazine. Ria paced back and forth, shouting orders like a panicked traffic constable. Arjun hovered awkwardly, unsure which crisis to attend to first. The picture was so chaotic, so loud, so tense that it was almost surreal to think I had once belonged there. When Ria finally stopped pacing, she sank into the armchair and muttered loudly. Of all the streets she could choose, she picked the one directly opposite us. Her mother groaned, "She's doing it out of spite." Her father added, "She wants to humiliate us." Arjun's voice rose, tired, frustrated, sharp, for the first time I had ever heard. "Stop blaming her. None of this is her doing. You forced her out. You demanded her room. You threatened her." The living room fell into stunned silence. Ria's parents stared at him, shocked. Ria looked away, her lips trembling with unspoken resentment. Arjun ran his hand through his hair. "She wasn't supposed to leave like that. She left because of asterisk us asterisk. And now all of you are shocked. She's doing fine." No one answered. I took another sip of tea, letting the sweetness warm my throat. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel revengeful. I felt vindicated. I hadn't destroyed anything. They had destroyed themselves. Hash 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 asterisk asterisk. The knock on my door asterisk asterisk. 2 days passed. I spent my time repainting the living room walls a warm pastel yellow. The neighbors helped me put up new curtains. I even planted a row of basil and jasmine in the front yard. Every small change felt like a soft patch on the wound in my heart. On the third evening, as I was washing paintbrushes, a soft knock echoed through my house. I froze. Something inside me already knew who it was. When I opened the door, there he stood, my son, the boy I had raised, the child I had carried through fevered nights, the young man I had supported through heartbreak and career struggles, Arjun. But his eyes held a weight I had never seen before. "Ma," his voice broke, "can I come in?" I nodded gently and stepped aside. He walked in slowly, taking in every wall, every new plant, every inch of my new life. His eyes softened with guilt, admiration, and heartache woven together. "This house, it feels like you," he whispered, warm, peaceful, safe. I offered him a seat, but he remained standing, like he didn't feel he deserved comfort. Finally he spoke. "Ma, I'm sorry." Words, but they carried the heaviness of months of silence, regret, and shame. He continued, "I should have defended you. I should have protected you. I should never have allowed them to talk to you the way they did. I was weak and I hurt you." My eyes softened. "Arjun," he cut me off, voice shaking, "no. Ma, please let me say this. I've been unable to sleep. Every night I see your empty chair at the dinner table. I hear the silence in your room. I see them living in your space, the space you built, and it kills me." I inhaled slowly. My son was breaking in front of me. He sank to his knees, tears falling freely. "Ma, can you ever forgive me?" I placed my hand on his head like I used to when he was little. "My child," I whispered, "forgiveness has never been the problem. But trust," I paused. "Trust doesn't come back as easily." He cried harder, the dam finally bursting. I helped him stand and sat him down on the sofa. I brought him tea, just the way he liked it, and placed it gently in his trembling hands. For a long time we sat in silence, the kind that heals, not hurts. Hash 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 asterisk asterisk, his confession asterisk asterisk. When he finally spoke again, his voice was quiet. Ma, I want you to come back. I shook my head before he even finished. No, Beta, I won't. He looked shattered. But it's your home. No, I said softly. It was my home. But a home is not just walls and rooms, Arjun. A home is where you are valued, where you are respected, where you are wanted. He closed his eyes, pain carving deep lines on his face. I didn't stand up for you, he whispered. I failed as a son. You lost your way. I replied gently, but now you are finding it again. That is what matters. He reached for my hand. Can I at least come visit you? A warm smile spread across my face. You never needed permission. At that, he exhaled a breath full of relief and emotion. Hash 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 asterisk asterisk. The aftermath asterisk asterisk. Over the next few days, Arjun visited often. He fixed my kitchen shelf. He replaced a flickering light bulb. He brought groceries and helped me plant roses. Across the street, the tension grew. Ria's parents refused to go near the front windows. Ria avoided stepping outside during the day. Arjun often returned home late, unwilling to participate in the chaos. Silence settled between him and his in-laws like a thick fog. Rumors spread around the neighborhood. People whispered, some judged, many pitied, a few admired, but through it all I remained steady. I had built something stronger than a new house. I had built a new life. Hash hash hash. Asterisk asterisk the awakening asterisk asterisk. One Sunday morning, as I sat outside trimming the jasmine plant, Arjun approached me again. His voice was calm this time, not desperate, not guilty, just honest. Ma, I want you to know something. I looked up. I'm not asking you to come home. I'm asking if I can make this place my home too. My hands stilled. He continued, not move in. I know you want your space. But can I spend time here? Can I find peace here? Can this be my refuge too? A lump formed in my throat. My son no longer wanted to drag me back into the old chaos. He wanted to step into the peace I had created, of course. I whispered, tears filling my eyes. He smiled softly at the boy I raised shining through the man he had become. Across the street, the old house still stood tall, but it no longer owned my heart, no longer defined my worth, no longer held my memories hostage. My world had shifted, and with it asterisk asterisk I had risen. Asterisk asterisk.